Jackson, we got to get to this last topic, man, because people want to know, man. People want to know our realistic thoughts on this season, how this recruiting is setting us up for the season. So, what I'm going to do, what I suggest we do, I'm gonna give you the front and center, and give your 3 to 5 minute take right now, man. Just give your feels because we're the voice. We're the voice of Alabama, Alabama voice of college football. Let's speak. Let's go off of our feels from the fan base. Let's talk about from what we're evaluating. Take it away, brother. I'll be right back. Y'all give Jackson some dialogue too, man. Give some dialogue. This season is set up to be something crazy special. What's your feels around it, Jackson? Take it up.
Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, I'll be a solid Bob getting his words out for a little bit, but I really like where our passing game is going. I love where our receiver core is going. Everybody talks about Ryan Williams, but nobody talks about our tight end game. We're gonna have Jack Samarco on the lineup. We're gonna have Brody Dalton joining that lineup for the Crimson Tide. It's gotta be huge. We've got a wild ride with our tight end game, our passing game. Like, because you got Isaiah Horton transferring from Miami. And he and Ryan Williams obviously have a good vibe going because they've been doing interviews together. They've been hanging out with one another. They're getting kind of used to one another. And I can tell you, Horton heard the Tide. You're going to hear a lot about that. You ever hear of Horton Hears a Who? Well, there's going to be a storyline called Horton Hears the Tide. It's always going to be magic. Magic all over the place on that receiving core. Our defense is going to be amazing. I think you're going to see Dijon Lee bring an early impact for 2025. Don't know when, but you know you're going to see him make some kind of an impact. That defense is going to be amazing. And I'm looking at this schedule for 2025. And you've heard Coach and I talk about this numerous times. You've heard a lot of people talking about this game, like South Carolina. Now, I'm worried about South Carolina because last season, they almost beat us. In my opinion, we got lucky against South Carolina. That's my feel for it. And you heard Zachary Wilges when he called in on the Alabama Calling Show when Coach Smith was stepping in for Jeffrey a couple of weeks back. Well, it'll be a couple of weeks ago come this Thursday. But you heard him. He said the exact same thing to Coach and I, that the South Carolina game worried him the most. Because it's scary, man. Like they give the Crimson Tide a dogfight, especially when you got a really good coach in Shane Beamer. Now, I don't really think LSU's really going to get us, honestly. Oklahoma, I think, can really get us. Like, I'm not saying they're not. They won't get us or they will get us, but Oklahoma kind of worries me, though. Tennessee, they've not beaten us in Tuscaloosa since 2003. But I worry about Tennessee more than I do about LSU. Because you know everybody brings their A game against Bama. But Auburn, that's the one that really gets me. Because what if we're 10-1 going into the Iron Bowl? 10-1 going into the Iron Bowl, we've likely got a playoff spot in. Doesn't matter if we're in the SEC title game or not. We're 10-1. You know Auburn's going to be looking to spoil some things for the Crimson Tide. You know that's going to try to happen. Like, Hugh Freeze has always put a scare into the Crimson Tide. You saw what he did in 2023. We basically had to get 4th and 31 against Auburn. And you saw what he did with Ole Miss. 2014, 2015. He was one of the few coaches that could lead victory in back-to-back seasons.
Audio's on, bro.
Huh?
I don't know why I can't hear you. Or maybe my audio's messed up.
Uh-oh. VERN.
Okay.
But yeah, like Hugh Freeze
Okay.
Auburn. I mean, I know everybody's like kind of poor on Auburn because like they've been having losing records the last few years. But again, This is Hugh Freeze Auburn. This is not Brian Harsin Auburn.
Facts. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Awesome.
But the Auburn Tigers really scare me the most. South Carolina scares me most, but my take is we can go 10-2. 10-2, 11-1. I mean, I know like Brody was here with us yesterday with me and Coach Burtz and Jeffrey, and he thinks Alabama can go 11-1. I'm kind of at that same level. I mean, like those Bulldogs. It's not, well, y'all have heard enough of my thoughts on Mike Bowman.
Oh man. So I got where you're coming from, man, and I agree with a lot of things that you said. Overall, though, man, I'm more so in line with the 11-1, 10-2 approach this season. Realistically, I feel like early on in the season, maybe a road game that can catch us slipping. And I'm saying maybe it's Georgia. That maybe, and I'm not confident in Georgia being good this year, but just the fact that could be the first big road game, the first big game on the season. Maybe we see some uncharacteristic things we not able to weather the storm. But the type of veteran experience and production that's returning on the defensive side, you usually win those type of games with that type of skill set or roster at your advantage. So that's the only one that I think could be a possible problem. But the one that I'm more so worried about, and it's not early in the season, it's in the first half, is South Carolina. I think South Carolina is going to be more of a complete team and more of a threat playing at South Carolina, following a big game at home against Tennessee, which is going to be, I feel like it's going to be an emotional game this year, especially after this is the gauntlet part of the schedule. You get South Carolina, and then following up hosting LSU. That's the stretch where I think we're going to see really what our team is made of. And if I wanted to really give us a loss, one or two losses, it's between South Carolina hosting LSU and playing at Jordan-Hare. So I believe if we have two losses, it's in between those three games. But I like our chances in all three of those games, especially the LSU matchup being hosted at home. And then the skill sets in Auburn, the secondary at Auburn, they better hope that they have something figured out before week 5 or week 6 of the season, because that's going to be the make or break for their season. They have a chance to be a quality team too. They got a lot of games that you look at their schedule last year, a lot of games that they were literally 1 or 2 possessions out of it because of just a lack of execution, a lack of skill sets, a lack of answers. And now this year you got Hugh Freeze with a guy at quarterback that he truly believes in, and a lot of weapons at the wide receiver room, a few running backs in that room. You got a quality, productive returning offensive line as far as your interior. You're replacing your left tackle, I believe, is the offensive lineman that they're really trying to figure out what's going on there. You look at the defensive side, everything up front is solid. In your linebacker room, the defensive front, you got depth in your D-line again. You're trying to figure out what's happening in your secondary because they look straight garbage, just to be honest. That secondary looks horrible at Auburn. And if there is an Achilles heel for this team, it's the a flop by Jackson Arnold, to where you're turning the page to your new freshman quarterback, and then not freshman, but your quarterback, your second string quarterback, and then you have a situation where your secondary is just nobody's able to cover. You could have a great front, but you go against a decent offensive line or offensive coordinator that knows how to offset that. You put your team in a bad position, and I don't think Auburn has anything to rebound from that right now. They're going to have to find some answers in the secondary for sure, but everywhere else, they're confident in being able to develop that. So that's going to be a tough game for us. On top of the bad juju, but realistically, Coach Smoot, I'm calling an 11-1, 12-0 season. If everybody stays healthy, I think this team can really go 12-0. I just don't believe there will be an undefeated team in the regular season. That's just my personal opinion. If Alabama loses a game, I'm not going to say I accept it, but I can understand losing to the type of team that South Carolina will be returning, or losing to the type of team that LSU will be bringing into T-Town this year, or losing to Auburn late in the season in an Iron Bowl game at Jordan-Hare. I can understand and see those things happening, not just because of bad juju, but look at the rosters, look at the skill sets coming in, look at the production returning, look at the overall projection of quality production that should be available on roster. and we're gonna have a 2 or 3 games that I believe really will set the tone. And 11-1, 10-2.
Oh yeah, like if you see Bama losing to Auburn, I think you're going to see a lot of people throwing the baby out with the bathwater, forgetting about 2017, forgetting about what the 2024 Ohio State team did. Because I mean, it was like you lost to your biggest rival, but guess what you did throughout the
Natty.
playoffs? Win a natty. That's right.
Yep. You're
And I
absolutely
mean,
right,
like,
man.
and like 1965, where we lost to Georgia in the season opener by some horse dung missed call by the referees, where like a guy was down on his knees when he lateraled the ball. And then, like, weeks later, Kenny Stabler, forgetting that it's third down instead of fourth down, throwing that ball out of bounds against Tennessee in a 7-7 tie. And then weeks later, we're in the natty because we win the natty because we had a few luck on our side, right? Michigan State
Right.
losing to UCLA in a regular season rematch in the 1966 Rose Bowl in living color. Number 2, Arkansas in the Cotton Bowl losing to LSU. Number 3, Nebraska. Well, we just stop a mud hole in the Cornhuskers in the 1966 Orange Bowl on NBC in living color with a few people tuning in. I'm saying we can see something like that 2025.
Hey, 2025 going to be an eventful year, Jackson. I really believe it. And as we close this out, man, I think the fan base needs to understand that this is not going to be anything like what Coach Saban produced. The style and how this team is going to win. I believe there will be a few games this season where the game will be a lot closer than what it should be. But this team in those big games, right, the moments that matter, we're going to see them execute because of the continuity on the staff. I believe this is the year where Kalen DeBoer and the staff, they put a lot of these players and this team as a player-led team, allow them to kind of carry themselves through certain situations and different parts of this season in game to really expedite the development of what this team can be and what this program is set up to be in the future. So with that being said, Jackson, I'm ready for this season as we continue to cover Alabama throughout this off season, man. We're going to continue to bring the heat, man. We're going to continue to create the conversations and react and just continue to be the voice of the Alabama fan base. And I think right now, because of the lack of, tangible things to go off of, the conversations have been very good. The conversations have been very good surrounding Alabama football. I can't wait for the season to get off to start getting those real fan talks, getting those real emotions uncovered, seeing people react and us giving them our thoughts on everything that's happened with Alabama football.
74 days until kickoff for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Let's get it, man. I'm excited, man.
Oh,
excited.
man.